Death is the final destination in the life of any living being. Death is black, grim, horrible, and inescapable. It instills terror in the hearts of people and serves as the basis for horror movies. However, it turns out that death can be funny, even very funny. In this video, we will look at many of these cases, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss new videos. Here we go. Winning death. Armando Pinelli, a 70-year-old Italian resident, had a long argument with his neighbor about which of them would sit on the only chair in the shade of a palm tree. He won the argument, whereupon the tree fell right on top of him. Wise advice. In New York City, a man was hit by a car. He was completely unhurt, but a clever passerby who witnessed it advised him to pretend to be seriously injured and demand compensation. The man agreed, but as soon as he lay down in front of the car again, it moved and crushed him to death. Marriage finale. Believing rumors that her husband was cheating on her, Vera Servac from Prague threw herself from the third floor and fell right on top of her husband, who was returning home to his beloved wife. She later regained consciousness in hospital, but the cheater died on the spot. Hell's Wanderers. After watching a Taiwanese TV series about the supernatural, 4 Chinese teenagers ate a melon filled with rat poison to travel to hell. They left a note saying, "If hell is as bad as here, we will come back." 2 of them managed to return. The rest apparently liked it there. Relaxed veteran climber Gerard Omel made 6 ascents of Everest. He died at home when, while changing a light bulb, he fell down the stairs and hit his head on the sink. Sprung Adelaide Magnoso, 80, pulled a folding bed out of her closet and went to bed. She died when the bed suddenly returned to its original position. Premature funeral New York resident Julia Carson died of a heart attack. That's what the doctors decided. Preparations for the funeral began. However, during the funeral service, she suddenly regained consciousness, sat up in the coffin, and asked what was going on here. Her daughter Julie died on the spot from shock. Dream in hand, Linda Goody of Stoneham, Massachusetts, canceled a cruise to the Caribbean islands because she dreamed she was dying in the car. She probably would have been better off going after all, as a few days later, she was found strangled in her own car in a parking lot. Curious Barbara. About 50 curious people gathered on a bridge in the Vietnamese city of Ho Chi Minh City to watch a young girl commit suicide. The bridge could not bear their weight and collapsed into the river. 9 people died. The girl was rescued. A vigilante rabbit farmer, Vincent Carroggio, was hunting rabbits. When he was tired, he lay down in a meadow to rest and put his gun next to him. A frightened rabbit ran past and stepped on the trigger, thus avenging his ruined brethren. You will become an atheist. In Hong Kong, 65-year-old Chai Wan-fong decided to thank God that her sister-in-law had escaped from a car accident unharmed. As she was praying in the courtyard of the high-rise building where she lived with her son's family, she was killed by a bag of cement that fell from above and died on the same day George Story was born, almost on the same day as Life magazine. On the cover of the new edition appeared a photo of a newborn George with the subtitle Life Begins. In the future, the fate of Story was periodically covered in the pages of the magazine. His 2 marriages, fatherhood, retirement. The 64-year-old George also appeared in the last issue, in May 2000, this time under the headline, "Life Ends," referring to the closing of the magazine. A few days later, George Story died of a heart attack. Money is not butter. You can't put it on bread. Amygdalia Baltha, 86, was found starved to death in her home on the Greek island of Evia, and left with 350,000 pounds belonging to her and a collection of 150 gold sovereigns in the bank. You begat me. A 10-year-old boy got into an argument with his father over a missing packet of chocolate cake icing. The argument became increasingly emotional, and in desperation, 38-year-old Harsh Sr. put a knife in his son's hand. "If you hate me so much, hit me," which the son did. The father died in the hospital. An hour later, fate. Stephen Hyatt, at 32, survived a revolutionary operation for transplantation of stomach, liver, kidney, duodenum, and pancreas. 6 years later, he stood on a chair to screw in a light bulb. He fell, bruised his head, and died. Happy as can be, Syria Najib Saudi, 35, felt so happy that he decided to end his life. In a suicide note, he said he was perfectly happy but feared future misfortune. Exhibit in service Bonn. Resident Peter Gruber died while attempting to rob the Museum of Art. When he noticed the guards approaching, he panicked and tried to flee, but as he turned a corner, he stumbled over a meter-long statue sword. The exhibit was called Weapon of Justice. Buddy Joshua Thomas Burchett, 23, experienced a hiccup attack and asked a buddy to pound him hard in the chest. The latter reluctantly complied with the request, and Joshua fell to the sidewalk and died. He did not take into account that there were many cases of heart disease in their family. He made a career. An employee of the Egyptian government, Adel Nazim Jergez, waited 8 years for a promotion. When he finally saw his name on the promoted list, he died on the spot of a heart attack. And cows fly. A driver in California was killed by a cow flying into his windshield. The animal entered the roadway in a thunderstorm where the impact of a car sent it into a flight that ended on the hood of a car traveling in the oncoming lane. Overstretched, a Ukrainian poacher threw a live electrical cable into a river. When the electrocuted fish surfaced, he went into the water to collect it, forgetting to disconnect the instrument of crime. As a result, he took the fate of his own catch. According to relatives, the hapless fisherman was going to roast the caught fish to celebrate the first anniversary of his mother-in-law's death. Lightning retribution. A boss and his secretary were killed by lightning while making love in an inflatable boat in the middle of a lake in Germany. The widow of the murdered man took it as divine intervention. Love is evil. Jamie Dinardi, 44. From Colombia, traveled to Maine to meet a woman he met online. Apparently, the woman did not like him in a live interaction and refused to meet him. Sometime later, he came to her house again and cut his throat with a chainsaw to prove his love. He died in the hospital. Fatal yawn. A circus midget nicknamed Odd died in a circus arena in northern Thailand. While jumping on a trampoline, he flew off to the side and was swallowed by a yawning hippopotamus waiting to enter the arena. As veterinarians explained, Hilda had developed a reflex for large objects in her mouth, which is why she swallowed the performer. That was the last ridiculous case in this video. These are such ridiculous and absurd deaths. It would seem that there is nothing in the world. So be careful, take care of yourself, and remember, sometimes fate likes to joke in the most unexpected way. If you are interested, give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to write in the comments what case surprised you the most. See you in the next videos.